What is up, everybody? Welcome to this Trainwreck Sports Podcast, where we are here to pay the bills. As always, joined by my co-host, Mike Partham. Back again this week, Joe Collins. And back again, one of our recurring guests, one of our favorite guests at Circle the Wagons, Kyle. Fellas, it's a Victory Thursday. How are we feeling?
I feel like we didn't so much win this game as we survived it. It was a very bizarre week coming in. It was a very bizarre ending to it, too. So I wasn't jovial so much as I was relieved. I don't know how you gentlemen feel.
How about you, Cons?
McDermott still struggles to manage a clock in crucial situations. So I'm still, I don't mean to be that guy, but I just have this feeling that within the next few games, we're going to be in the same situation that we were, where it's fourth quarter and we're got a minute and a half left in the game. And nobody knows what's going on because we wasted a timeout trying to ice a kicker or figuring out
Kodak moment.
Yeah, there's our Kodak moment. I don't mean to be a pessimist, but this is the issue with this team. That's the Achilles heel.
Yeah, like Alan said, a win's a win. We got to move on to next week. It doesn't matter how much we win by, how much we lose by. A win's a win, a loss is a loss. It's been a crazy year, and this is another game that could have gone either way, but luckily, something went our way for once, So, we won. Yeah, McDermott helped the defense win in the final drive, but it could have easily went the other way. They could have easily not made that call. There's Chiefs fans obviously spamming Twitter with millions of pictures of how many wide receivers line up like that and don't get called. So we got lucky on this one, and it was a huge win that we needed, but it doesn't feel like it was a major improvement like week over week or anything.
Yeah. Not to mention pictures of receivers, Tony himself in that very same game from the first play. And listen,
I love you, Mike.
If that penalty had been called, would we have even noticed it?
No, honestly, no. But I say that everybody's offsides every play of the game.
So everybody holds every play. Everybody pass interferences every play of every game.
I'm looking for a reason every time to complain about something. I'll tell you that.
That's one thing we can all agree upon. So we're always looking for something to complain about.
We can all agree that the call was technically correct. And Patrick Mahomes, at least for that brief day or whatever, was a whiny little bitch.
Hey, coming in hot, bro.
Wow. I mean, he admits it. At least he apologized for it. He took it all back. Alan said he reached out to him and he says, "Hey, everything's good. You're just a competitor in the moment."
Yeah. I'm surprised we haven't seen a new Tickle Me Elmo doll, like a Tickle Me Mahomes doll that makes crying. From some new Buffalo business coming out with some Mahomes crying doll when you squeeze him.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Bills wanted to be petty, they would have sent a box of tissues to Kansas City.
Fans actually did. I think.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
my
Yeah.
God.
That does
You
not
want to know
surprise
what's
me.
crazy about that? We can't even get people to donate toilet paper routinely, but people will send it to Patrick Mahomes. It's crazy. It's where we live. That's what we do.
It's something. It was one of the most bizarre. Like if you watch Mahomes for how many years, was the last thing I was expecting was to see him getting held back by teammates trying to yell at a ref at the end of that game. Baffling.
You think about it, he was essentially born into the NFL on third base. Well, that's a baseball analogy. He was basically born in the red zone in the NFL. He comes in with Andy Reid and all these. He comes into a 12-14 that just doesn't have its quarterback yet. He's never played a road playoff game. He's a perennial AFC Championship host. So, like, what's he ever had to, complain about or had? He's never had adversity. He's never had a drought-like adversity like we hardened Bills fans have.
Yeah, or not having to throw to Robert Foster and whoever else you want. I don't even remember any other receivers
Andre
off the top
Holmes.
of my head. Andre, yeah, exactly. Andre Holmes and just these misfit toys of receivers that Josh Allen started his career with. No, he had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and all these weapons all over the field. You're right. And I think that's the biggest thing. The thing to remember about these guys and just legacy talk, whenever I hear, Mahomes is one of the best quarterbacks I've ever watched in my entire life. One of the best quarterbacks I've ever watched in my entire life. They are 27 years old. And if they're going to be defined by what they are at 27 years old, this 27-year-old is really scared about what the rest of my life is going to look like. So I'm hoping that for all of us of various ages and people watching this podcast, you can grow beyond 27, 37, 57. We can't just define these two for the first 6 years of their career. And Mahomes is finding out what real life in the NFL is like. This is what shit's like. And yes, they won the Super Bowl last year, and they could very well win the Super Bowl this year. They also got bailed out in that Super Bowl by one of the worst holding calls in the history of the NFL that I've ever seen. And we'd be talking a lot different about Patrick Mahomes if they lost that game, wouldn't we? If they were 1-2 in the Super Bowl, I feel like he gets a lot more credit, and they were in the position in that game. Don't get me wrong. And this is no hating on Mahomes' legacy talk, but it's more just like everybody's made these definitive claims about Mahomes because he's had such a great start. But like you said, Mike, they were set up pretty damn perfectly when he walked in. And this is the first year where they have not been set up. They don't have weapons playing, higher than their expectation for them. Kelce has looked slower and more hampered and potentially distracted by the biggest pop star in the world. The offensive line has had issues this year. They've been solid, but they're not great. And I think that whole moment, Mike, was just the culmination of a year of frustrations, and also probably a lot of Kadarius Toney, because that man seems impossible to play football with.
Don't throw it to stone hands. I keep remembering that phrase from Necessary Roughness, and it has to be going through their minds right now. They're going through. What are they now? 8-4.
8-5.
8-5.
And lost 3 in a row.
Imagine being an 8-5 team and that being your tough season. But then again, we're 7-6 now, and this is our tough season for our generational quarterback.
Yeah, I gotta say, Mike's coming in on a heater here. He's like butter. He's on a roll, man. He's just like, I keep looking over and everybody's just, Mike, you got it. You hit the nail on the head, man. It's like you win a football game. All this stuff happens after. First of all this stuff happens before, then all this stuff happens after, and you're trying to decompress and figure out what just happened. And then it's like we won, but it was kind of it was weird. I don't know. It was a weird win.
I'll tell you what, I definitely felt like a hater the whole fourth quarter. I'm sitting here with my girlfriend watching this game, and I think I tweeted it out. I was like, here it comes. Here's the masterclass. Here comes the 4-point Bills loss. Because like you said, that is 100% what I thought was going to happen. And the thing is, they were that close to it literally happening. Not saying that Allen couldn't have gotten down the field in that 1:17 and scored a touchdown, but what would we all have been? I mean, you could see it on Allen's face. They kept showing him on the sidelines, and I'm like, oh my God, this man is traumatized. He's seeing all of these losses again over in his head. It's crazy.
I don't know. A minute left. Are you sure Allen couldn't have gotten down? Could have gotten down.
Oh, I think he could.
Or would his coach have downed the ball and gotten to overtime?
or they would have scored with 15 or so seconds, and then
too soon, right?
The scores, yeah. Kyle, any other thoughts on the win?
When the Bills are losing, I'll tell you that. I'm coaching like a mother, I'm just like, oh yeah, well, and if I was playing Madden, I wouldn't have did this. Come on, like what are you doing? Like McDermott, throw a challenge flag once in a while on some of these plays, and
no, don't throw a challenge flag. We've seen him do that.
And think about what you need to do next. Like sometimes it just doesn't make sense. Like I just don't understand it. It's not like this is his first year coaching, and like I think he just passed to be like second overall in wins in franchise history. He's doing a great job, but he definitely could be better. We could be better, and that seems like the moral of the team is like. Good? We've been good, but we can be better. But like, what do we need to make that next step?
Does it feel like they're winning in spite of him rather than because of him?
Hey,
there's no reason I can understand why we win or lose.
My only hope was after the article comes out. And essentially, once that article comes out, however you feel about it, it's like pulling back the curtain on the Wizard of Oz. The Emperor has no clothes anymore. So maybe I would hope it shocks him into, oh, they actually see what I'm actually doing. I better change it up so I don't justify the article. So maybe don't take that Kodak timeout and don't, rely on your defense to close out the game, which they did for once, actually, by the skin of their teeth, mind you. But hey, props to the defense.
I got to say one thing here real quick that you bring up a very good point. I still think it's hilarious that, teams have won in spite of their coach, but I really just don't think this team is like interconnected in any way. Like players can say all they want about like, oh, I have a great relationship with the coach. There's no way. Like I just feel like there's no way the offense goes out with the defense like they used to. Like the defense goes like, it just doesn't feel that way to me. However, I think that Josh Allen is such a good person when it comes to handling these situations in the sense of he's been through it. And, when we see him on the sideline where he's not pouting, but he's kind of like disappointed, that's his way of handling things. And I just think when Josh came out and said, I got a great relationship with coach. Sure. Because think about this for a second. And I'm a theory guy. If McDermott gets fired, what coach is going to want to come coach for Josh Allen if he says, this guy sucks? So I think Josh does a very good job, and maybe he does like coach, but I think he does a very good job of understanding, hey, I'm 27. I'm in my prime. If we lose McDermott and I have to get a new coach, I have to be smart about the way that I operate within the media. That's the way I see it. And everyone's going to tweet and say, oh, Konzi's on only one of his high horses. But no, it's really how I feel about it.
I mean, if Josh Allen were to mother F Sean McDermott out of the blue, even then I would think an offensive coach out there would just be salivating to get the chance to work with a generational talent, freak athlete like this, like saying, oh, this defensive coach didn't appreciate them. I know what I can do. I'll Frankenstein this offense and I'll turn him into, the next level of just unbelievable alien athlete.
Sure.
Yeah. I think these guys are all nervous about, if I say something bad or something happens to McDermott, who could we get? And they're thinking about like the downside of it and the glass like half empty instead of like, who could we get? And maybe something could change for the better. And a lot of these guys haven't played for anybody but McDermott. Like Allen hasn't really played for anybody else. A lot of these guys don't know what it could be like to play for somebody else. And, how many teams bring in a new coach and he just calls a lot of different stuff and he does stuff a different way and they end up like playing better. So I don't know. It could go either way. It could go up or down. So technically, we're still not out. We're still not on a bad season. We're still not out of the playoffs. We're still hanging in there. I mean, odds are that if we do go to the playoffs, we're like a Super Bowl favorite and stuff. So never in the past like 5 years has it felt like this where it's just like, hey, we just got to wait week after week after week and see how everything goes. But it's scary. Like this is the scariest it's felt. Being a Bills fan, being a Josh Allen fan, the Josh Allen era, like, it's the scariest it felt to like, oh, is this going to go back to the pre-Josh Allen era, to the 50 quarterbacks we went through? Is it just going to be the same situation? It's just going to be a bunch of different coaches. Like, who knows?
Yeah, the fear of the unknown is real, especially when it comes to the NFL. And I think the roster, which is a nice part and thing to mention about the whole roster and getting behind McDermott, is not that, Josh Allen's going anywhere, or even Ed Oliver, who was pretty staunch in his defense, but Micah Hyde, like if there's a new coach in here and they were like, we don't need this safety around, like this older safety who has injury issues, like this team could be turned over a lot next year and could be like a reset year to kind of build towards Allen's further prime and everything else with older guys on the defense. They don't have a lot of cap room, but there are ways that they could, save a lot of money on guys and go young or whatever. Just bring in a different group if something goes wrong at the end of this year, because they've mortgaged the future quite a bit. And I think there's something to that, like staying on the coach and the GM's good side, because then they're going to think better of it when you're trying to get a job again in April or May or March or whenever else. So it's an interesting time, like you guys are saying here, for the Bills just in general. And we'll get into Cowboys week now, because when these big weeks happen, and like last year, like there were a lot of big games, but they never felt so consequential to the season. And when the Bills were 7-6 coming down the stretch a couple years ago, that first game I think was against I believe that first game when they were 7-6 was either the Panthers or the Falcons or something. And it was a game that you felt really like it was a good chance to win, that they were going to handle it. And then the next week was the Patriots game. And even though the Patriots were a game ahead in the division at that point, the momentum was just rolling, and you knew that you really felt like the Bills weren't going to lose that one. But here they are. They started 6-6 to go on this run, or try to go on this run. You have the huge emotional win at Kansas City, and then they don't have to win out, but a 10-7 team is likely going to miss the playoffs. And so if there's a week to lose, it would be this week in the NFC because the Bills are in such a bad situation with these AFC losses. But is this the most consequential regular season game that the Bills have had in like the last 23 years, Mike? Because I kind of feel like it is. And thinking like next week is obviously a must win too, but playing Easton Stick and Bailey Zappi is much different than playing the Dallas Cowboys at home. So just from that perspective as well.
It's the most consequential one until Miami happens, and depending on how this one goes and the next two ones go and how everything else in the AFC shapes out, for the time being, yeah, it's the most consequential. It's the most urgent one. And it's one of the more difficult ones. The Chiefs, of course, can beat you on a good day if their receivers can actually catch a cold or something. But the Cowboys are a little more substantially offensively stacked over there, even if their road record isn't particularly impressive. I think I'm not sure what kind of feel I'm going to get for this game until it happens. It's nice that the Cowboys are coming here. The stadium's going to be rocking. Allen's basically rallying the troops as it is. But no, losing this game, like you said, doesn't have as much consequence as the next three afterwards. But I feel like the wind would be taken out of the players and the fan sails if we were to lose, and not just lose close, but lose like in a blowout.
Yeah, it's felt like it's feeling like that way, and I don't have a good read on it too. I do want to go through what we think the biggest advantages for each team will be after this. But Cons, how do you feel like? Does this feel like one of the biggest regular season games that you've gotten ready for? Because I feel like today I'm like, I get ready really starting last night and going into today to do the pod, and I'm like I've really avoided thinking about this game as much as I can so far this week, because I know the nerves are going to hit at some point when I realize, okay, Bills, Cowboys, see like playoff hopes on the line. It's nationally televised. Like there's no other game in the Fox slot. Fox is showing this game to a national audience, 4:30, and just knowing the Bills, like I'm nervous, Cons. That's all I'm saying. I'm getting nervous. So talk me through it.
Well, for starters, this is the NFL, so any given Sunday, right? Like that's the name of the game here. And I think as I look deeper and deeper at this game, I think Mike McCarthy is a guy who, he has a Super Bowl ring, but there's times he's had the most potent offense and hasn't gotten past like the wild card round, but he knows how to call an offense. And I think the Cowboys definitely have, a really good offense. They also have a really good defense, but I think the key thing that doesn't make me as scared is I think that Josh Allen and Micah Parsons want to meet at midfield. Like I think that they both really truthfully want to smack each other right up the middle, right up the gut. And I think I'm not nervous. I'm excited because I think it gives the Bills an opportunity to put one of the NFL's best defensive players on skates if they can. And I wouldn't be surprised if Josh has another, 15, 20, carry game or whatever astronomical number it is. But I think I'm more excited for that because of that matchup. I want to see Micah Parsons try to take Josh Allen down. And I think Josh Allen wants to run through his face. And I think it'll be a nice competitive matchup. So for me, I'm really excited for this game because I think it's going to either tell us what we've always known about the Bills or tell us a different story about the Bills. But if I'm thinking in terms of the Labrador, that's our quarterback, I know that he's chomping at the bit to get out here. And you remember that last Cowboys game, he played completely different team he's playing against, but he eats, man, in prime time. And, I know we've had a couple games where he's looked a little off, but give me Micah Parsons and Josh Allen right at midfield and let me just see exactly what happens. I'm excited for that matchup. Did
you see Micah Parsons' quote that he talked about Josh Allen about?
Recite it for us, Mike. You're on a roll today. I want you to read it to us.
Sure. Micah Parsons compares Josh Allen's playing ability to a college frat star. Quote, Josh really reminds me of that one crazy guy at the frat, the way drunk and you go, man, I ain't going out with this guy. He just does anything. He's that wild dude on the field, man. He wants to dip his shoulder. He wants to talk trash. He wants to get rowdy. He shoots the beer pong. He aces the cup. I would love to go out to a bar and grill out with Josh Allen for sure.
I love Micah
Parsons. What a term of endearment. Like, what a great quote. Like,
yeah.
Micah Parsons could have gone any way with that. That's the best way to describe Josh Allen. He's the guy you go get a beer with. And then when you're in a bar fight, he's the guy throwing the guy across the bar. That's him.
Yeah, and at Uber, Hansen from Cover One points out, Micah Parsons trash talks everyone, and him praising Josh Allen is all you need to know about what the NFL thinks about him.
Perfect.
100%.
Yeah.
That is the mark. That is a hell of a marquee. Is Micah Parsons and Josh Allen? I will say it is going to be a hell of a matchup there. Cons. Kyle, how you feeling about Sunday?
Yeah. I mean, every game's a big game. Every week I'm like telling my wife, I'm like, oh, this is a game we got to win. This is a super important game. This is a super important game. It's just like over and over and over and over and over the same story. But I mean, this is a huge game on a bunch of different aspects. 2 good teams. One, we get to prove ourselves. Double Super Bowl loss, revenge. Cowboys hot right now. 7 of 8 of the past games they won. Josh Allen and Dak, both number 1 and 2 in passing touchdowns. There's so many stats and there's so many things you could say that show that both of these are really good teams where this could be a Super Bowl matchup. Regardless of the fact that, yes, we're trying to fight to show that we can keep our playoff hopes alive. Beating a team like this shows that if we do beat them, we can win the Super Bowl. So I am super excited. I was super excited about the Chiefs. I was super excited about the Eagles, but this one does hit a little bit different for some reason. So it'll be great to see, a lot of players are saying, they're all in playoff mentality right now. So it feels like every single game for the rest of the year is going to feel like a playoff game. And yes, how could you not be excited about Josh Allen and Micah Parsons? That's nuts. And the Bills first in the league, least amount of sacks allowed. We've only allowed 18 sacks total. Somehow crazy. I don't know what happened with the offensive line. Is Torrance making that big of a difference? And McGovern coming back to Dallas. This is very exciting.
Yeah, but here's the real quick thing about, because he brought up the offensive line. No matter what they do, Josh somehow creates his own pocket. So does it really matter at the end of the day? It's like Mahomes did the same thing. I was talking to a friend about it. It's these guys drop back to pass and then it's oh, the pocket's there. Wait, the pocket shifted 5 yards to the left. And it's there's no way of determining what's going on. They just play quarterbacks how they want to.
Or Mahomes will literally sprint.
Jeez, Allen broke some ankles last week.
Yeah, he did. That throw to Kincaid where he's just waiting and just moving his arm and goes okay, you hold your arms up. Okay, I'll throw. It's so absurd. Mahomes is hilarious, Cons, because he'll literally just start sprinting to a spot on the field. He sees the 30-yard line marker. He's I'm gonna just run over there. Now this is my spot to throw, and then just throws a dime.
It's he waits for Kelsey to get open. He's if I sprint to this left hash, he'll get open. I'll turn and fire it to him. That's just how they play football. It's just how both of them do. It's insane.
They are absurd. Micah Parsons, and I don't know who hasn't watched enough Micah Parsons in their life listening to this podcast, but Micah Parsons came to Penn State as a 5-star athlete. They decided to just put him at middle linebacker for part of his career because they're just like, you're too good at everything, so we just need you all over the field. And Joe Brady this week said that he played wide receiver in one of their spring camps and that he was the best wide receiver on the field. Like, that's the kind of dude Micah Parsons is. You just throw him on a football field and he would be a beast no matter what.
Could you imagine being like, hey, what do you think of that wide receiver Parsons? What do you mean? He plays middle linebacker. It's like, and now he's just flying all over the place.
That's our middle linebacker who's going to go top 10 as an edge rusher in the NFL draft.
Amazing.
No big deal. Yeah, he's a freak. So seeing him and Allen is going to be special. But all right, so we'll start negative and end positive, Mike. That's where we're going. What's the biggest advantage on the field for the Cowboys going into this matchup against the Bills? This is some self-scouting. That's what we're calling this.
I'd say defense. Just taking a look at the overall stats, the Cowboys have the third total defense in the league. Buffalo only 14th. Dallas have the fourth scoring defense in the league, but the Bills do have the sixth, so they're not too far behind. They seem pretty evenly matched defensively. I think the Dallas defense might create a little bit more problems than what we're used to.
All right, what do you think, Hans?
So I think I'm not gonna go statistical here, but I'll say that watching the Cowboys the last few weeks, I think the one thing that really is impressive is the fact that not that Josh doesn't know where his players are at all times, but it seems like Dak knows on 3rd and 2 where he's going with the ball. Like, if that's not open, we're going here. And I just feel like the Cowboys on, different spots of the games, the last two games, especially the Eagles game, they have a play that gets them over the hump, right? And they'll just
Oh no.
I wonder what they'll just do.
So sorry.
Froze up there for a second.
Sorry, froze up there.
Back.
Yeah, we got you.
I think the big thing with the Cowboys is they have like that play that gets them over the hump. You need a 3rd and 3. Here's an out route. You got to get 2 yards. They block effectively. So the thing going into this game that I'm interested to see is how the Bills prepare for that. Right? Here's your 3rd and 1. Make a stop. And I have yet to see the Eagles defense, supposed to be one of the best in the NFL, just couldn't get a stop last week. So I'm a little concerned in that area. So I think the biggest advantage is where Dak knows where all his players are at all times, what he has.
Definitely. I think that's been a thing. McCarthy taking over play calling this year and kind of tightening that up from their end. And just like, it seems like Dak is like a master of this offense finally. And that's a great point. Like, he knows all the reads, he knows all the checks, and he has the weapons who are they're always open. They got some studs out there. CeeDee Lamb is like one of my favorite receivers. He's been one of my favorite receivers since college. Like, I hate Oklahoma as a football team, do not enjoy them, but I loved watching CeeDee Lamb, and he is finally really coming into his own. What do you think?
Don't forget about Michael Gallup. Michael Gallup will drop 2 passes and catch one clutch one, dude.
They always get that's true. And Jake Ferguson too. They always have a tight end who is just disgusting in the middle of the field, and Dak seems to find him a ton too. What do you think, Kyle? What's their biggest advantage going into the Sunday against the Bills?
I would say momentum. Like, we have the hunger and the need, but they have the momentum right now. 7 of the last 8 just came off of a big win over Philly. They're fighting for the conference. Like, they have a lot of confidence right now, and like they've been good for a while. They've had a lot of good players for a while, but I feel like the thing they lacked was momentum and confidence. And they have both of those things right now. So they're fighting just like we are, but they're coming off a lot more wins and on a lot higher horse, and they have the momentum going for them right now. So I think that the confidence, the momentum they have going into this game right now, it's going to be tough for us. Like, we have the momentum of, we came off of 1 win, but what would be coming up off of 7 of the last 8, and beating the Eagles if we would have beat the Eagles and stuff. So it's a big difference. Like, we're fighting for the same thing. We all want the same thing, but they have more momentum going into it is what I'm like nervous about.
Yeah, the Cowboys, it's an interesting thing, like just big picture for the Cowboys, because this is like pretty much the same I feel like it's the same boat we've talked about with the Cowboys year after year. Great regular season record. We get into December, they'll go play a game outdoors against some tough team and really get exposed. And then they go in as a lower seed and get smacked up in the divisional round. Like that's really been the story of the Cowboys for the last couple of years. And Cowboys fans seem to think this year is different. Maybe. I gave a stat on Trainwreck tonight that I think there's at least 6 games over the last 3 years that the week after that they won by 20 points, they lost that next game. So the Cowboys, this team, this iteration of the Cowboys with Mike McCarthy is prone to letdowns. And if there's a letdown moment, it's after beating your division rival, the first place team in the division on Sunday Night Football. But this does feel like a different Cowboys team. The defense has been great this year. Very opportunistic. Deron Bland, I think he's already broken or close to breaking the record for pick sixes. We obviously know Micah Parsons. Stephon Gilmore's having a nice year back there. So it's going to be a great matchup. I think the Cowboys, my biggest advantage for them, I think, is it's just the way Dak's playing. Dak, like Khan's kind of brought it up too with the checks and where he is. Like Dak's better than he's ever been. And I think he's really elevating this team this year more than he has in the past. And so I'm interested to see. And also CeeDee Lamb just, I think, is really coming into his own too. But that kind of just has to do with Dak. So now let's go to the positive side, Mike. What is the biggest advantage for the Bills going into the game on Sunday?
Joe Brady's play calling and the emergence of James Cook in the offense as a pass-catching running back. You know, the thing that they've been trying to do for the last 2 or 3 years, every time they've gotten like T.J. Yeldon or whoever else, and it's supposed to be, you know, I'm blanking on the guy who's hurt now, who scored the touchdowns returning last year. Naheem Hines. Yeah. And that's why we got him in the first place. And it took forever for us waiting for him to get integrated in the offense. And here, James Cook coming with 15 total touches this past game, both catches and runs, 141 total yards and a touchdown. He accounted for 40% of the Bills' offensive yards in the Chiefs game, even though he was only on the field for 45% of the offensive snaps. And I know Latavius Murray is a good pass blocker, but he's only got, if you buy into any PFF grades, he's only got a 34.6 pass blocking grade, at least for this previous game, and that's his worst season. So I think as long as they utilize James Cook, keep him out there as much as they can, that's going to be the big advantage because the wide receivers aren't doing very good. Diggs has been facing some pretty stout defenses and some one-on-one defenders against the Jets, the Chiefs, and Denver in particular. And you've seen them utilizing that perimeter screen that they tried a couple of times and didn't gain a whole lot. He even dropped one, I think maybe 2 of those. So the wide receivers have been not as productive as usual. We've had to rely on Kincaid and James Cook. And James Cook, he's, I believe, 3rd overall running backs in total yards from scrimmage, 7th overall in all skilled players. He's 1st in yards per touch among running backs. He's only behind among running backs. He's only 9 yards behind Travis Etienne. And of course, Christian McCaffrey's number 1. So as long as they continue to utilize him, he's going to be the secret weapon going in. And that's the biggest advantage for them.
Oh yeah. What do you think, Hans?
I think for me, you know, I keep talking about, you know, I talked about earlier, you know, putting Micah Parsons on skates, right? And I think the only way you can do that is by changing the speed of the game. So, you know, I'm going to use a baseball terminology here. I mean, if you got a guy that's all over your fastball, you got to change it up, right? Throw some off speed. And I think the Bills have the ability to do that with James Cook. And I think they have the ability to do that with Latavius Murray, the ability to do that with Josh Allen. So I think what will be interesting to see, and I think the biggest advantage for the Bills is personnel, right? And I think there's going to be times we're going to see this weekend where James Cook is going to fly down the field and he's going to get you your 4 or 5 yards, 6 yards of carry, which is fine. But I think you're going to see some Ty Johnson. I think you're going to see some Latavius Murray. And I'm interested to see. I think if Joe Brady is smart enough, he will test just how physically gifted Micah Parsons is. And the way to do that is to really beat the crap out of him. Now, I'm not saying Micah Parsons is a bad player by any means. I think he can handle it. But I think the Bills really need to attack the middle of the field this week, get Dalton Kincaid involved, get Khalil Shakir underneath, and then really spread them out with Cook, and then let it light the lamp with Diggs. I think we're going to see that this weekend. So I think the advantage for the Bills is their ability to control the speed of the game at any time with any personnel they put in the game.
Can you imagine the hype coming into this game if his brother was on the field and
Oh, I
healthy,
know, man.
able to go one-on-one with his brother?
Oh my gosh.
And they, of course, we'd be asking about his tweets, his vague tweets, both him and his brother. I mean, I'm almost glad we're spared of that. But Kyle, what are your thoughts? What's biggest advantage for the Bills going in, do you think?
So I'm gonna say, obviously Josh Allen is the number one advantage, regardless of anything. Josh Allen, the alien, doesn't matter who we play, when we play, how we play, how many losses, wins, he's gonna come out and give it all. But I would say the running game, which also includes Josh Allen, but also James Cook now, and Latavius Murray being serviceable. Is Fournette gonna play? I don't know, but definitely the running game, Josh Allen. We're putting up the most, this is the best year we've had rushing in years. We're almost leading the league in yards and rushing. And when's the last time you can even recall saying that? Maybe Marshawn Lynch, LaShawn McCoy. So definitely running game. And then I think tight ends. I think Dalton Kincaid has shown that he can be a slot receiver, a T1. But now with Knox coming back, and having Kincaid there and having two tight ends and two different options to dump the ball off to, on top of James Cook playing phenomenal and dumping the ball to him, I really think it's going to be the short game. It's going to be running the ball, and it's going to be dump offs to the tight ends and James Cook. And I think that's going to open up the entire offense. And we're not going to have another terrible, week on wide receivers and them not getting yards, but I think really, truly running backs, tight ends are going to open up the whole field. And I honestly do think the offense is going to explode. And we're coming off of a win last time we played on Thanksgiving against the Cowboys. And last time we played in Orchard Park, we beat the Cowboys. So we should win this game too. But I'm very excited to see how many points we could put up. It could be a high scoring game in general, but I'm really excited to see, Kincaid get another touchdown. I've been rocking the Kincaid jersey since day one. First day, I got so many jerseys, and I just keep rocking Kincaid. And, I'm about to try and do a deal with Q Collar here. I was like, what's that thing on his neck he's wearing every week? Q Collar.
He does love that thing. So I think that we're all on the same page, with James Cook being such a huge part of this offense and being excited what we saw last week. And you saw they tried to unlock him too in Philly too. He has a touchdown catch very similar to the one he would have had, the one he had last week. And if it wasn't for that driving rainstorm they were in, I think my biggest advantage, you guys all made a lot of great points about what the advantages are for the Bills. I think the biggest advantage is being at home and making that Cowboys team play outdoors. They have 2 losses outdoors. It's a team that struggled outdoors late in the year, pretty much in the whole Dak Prescott tenure. And I really think that this game being in Buffalo, the way that crowd's going to be on a mid-December, I can't believe it. I looked at my date in the corner of my computer. I'm like, damn, it's about to be December 17th on Sunday. I don't know where this time has gone, but mid-December game, I feel so much more confident going into this game than last week, just because the Bills at home seem like a different team, especially this year. And I'm excited to see what the fans bring and what that kind of does to Dak Prescott and that high-powered offense, because they're going to need all the help they can get, because them boys can put up some points. It is going to be high-flying no matter what, I think. All right, so let's wrap this up. We're going to go rapid fire around the horn, start with Mike and go around. I just want pick. You don't have to pick against the spread. I have the spreads up for these, including the Bills game, which will make our final prediction at the end. 4 other important AFC games that we're all going to be paying attention to. Really, just Saturday. Saturday is the AFC day, and an extremely important day to the Bills playoffs. So it's going down forward. So all right, we're just going to go down and give our predictions for them. Mike, Vikings at Bengals Saturday afternoon.
The Vikings are on a quarterback carousel right now, and the Bengals without Joe Burrow actually seem pretty competent. So I'll take the Bengals with the 3 points.
Kanzi?
I'm going to take the Vikings. I believe Justin Jefferson's coming back, right? And
yeah, but he needs someone to throw to him.
Yeah, I think they can get the ball to him. So I think the magic of Jake Browning has worn out its welcome. I'm going to take the Vikings in this game.
All right. And they're also fighting. I mean, they're only 2 games back in the division. They have 2 games with the Lions. Like, this is an extremely vital game for the Vikings, too. What do you got there, Kyle?
Yeah, same. I'm going Vikings. Jefferson back and Browning coming off his first start. I feel like, just like Dobbs when he first started, they come in, defenses don't know what they're looking for per se. 1 game, 1 week of studying and watching the tape and stuff. Second, third week, it's going to wear off. I think it's going to be a big game for the Vikings. And as long as somebody can just like screen pass the ball to Jefferson, he's going to have a massive.
Mike, you can text all of us in this chat when the Bengals win and tell us "told you so." I won't get mad. You can.
Lose, Cincinnati.
I can tell you, as a Jordan Addison fantasy owner, his production has gone down the last 3 weeks. I don't even have him in the starting lineup.
Better yet, just send me a middle finger, Mike. I'll know exactly what you mean.
That's not that big a deal.
That's amazing. I'm also picking the Bengals mostly because I need Jake Browning to pull out a big performance for my fantasy team. Exactly. So this is completely biased and nothing football related, just manifesting.
By the
Steelers,
way, 5% New York Times playoff machine swing for the Bills in that Minnesota-Cincinnati game.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big deal. You can't be rooting for your fantasy team when you're go to the playoffs.
Steelers at Colts, Mike.
The Steelers are they're Jekyll and Hyde. I mean, 1 week they'll pull off some improbable win despite their offensive ineptitude, and the next week they lose to the Patriots, but I guess we can relate in some ways. The Colts, I don't even know what identity they have anymore. The Steelers are eventually going to have their winning season, so I guess I'll just take the Steelers.
All right. Kanzi.
Minshew. Gardner Minshew. What a heck of a pickup for me in fantasy football, but not fantasy related. That guy is a gunslinger. I love him. I love the headband, the mustache, the whole thing about him. The Steelers are so bad. I believe, was it that Jake Browning or whatever quarterback filled in has just as many touchdowns as Kenny Pickett this year? So give me the Colts. I feel bad saying that about Mitchie Biscuits, but sorry, bud. Colts. Give me the Colts.
Yeah, I thought you just sneezed when you said Minshew. Yeah, I don't know. Overall, it's going to be brutal to watch. Like, Minshew just got a really big hit last week, and, I don't know, is he in concussion protocol? Is he okay and cleared to play or not? But overall, they're both pretty tough to watch. They're both up and down every single week. They both have different players that show up 1 week and then don't, like Zach Moss for the Colts. Like, who would have thought? Crazy some weeks and some weeks just terrible. So I don't know. I'm just gonna put it all on TJ Watt and say the Steelers. I'm just gonna say Steelers defense. Wow. It's another low scoring game, but the Steelers are gonna pull it off.
As a urinating tree likes to say, the high end talent and the Steeler bullshit will come through in the end.
Thanks, Mike.
I'm picking the Steelers too for that. As you said it perfectly. This is why the Bills need to make the playoffs, because we can't put America through the Steelers or the Colts in one of these wild card weekends, and not America, me. Like, I don't want to watch one of these teams on wild card weekend. There's no way. All right, Broncos at Lions Saturday night. This is a crazy game. Like, I don't know what to expect, honestly.
7% New York Times playoff swing for this one. The Lions are another one of those teams that once you think they're getting good, all of a sudden the wheels come off. And the Broncos looks like that our loss to them, as fluky as it was at the end of that particular game, was no fluke as far as how good the Broncos have been looking. I don't know. 4.5 for the Lions. I think that's a bit much. I'll take the Broncos at least to cover.
I'll tell you what. Do not bet against Jared Goff and Dan Campbell. That's what I'm going to say. Motor City going to motor through. Russell Wilson with his Subway commercial. The Lions. Give me the Lions, baby. Jared Goff. Never, ever, ever bet against my boy, Jared Big Time Goff.
Not a Danger Witch fan, Cons?
I was until I found out he does running in place on a private plane. Take a nap.
Yeah,
bro. Take a nap.
Kyle, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, I thought you sneezed, but I guess you just golfed, So I'm definitely going Lions too all day, just like you said. Dan Campbell, Motor City, all day. I don't think Russell Wilson is going to keep getting bailed out by 70-yard bombs to Carlos Sutton and getting lucky on these ridiculous catches. It's not going to happen in every single game. So I think Goff's going to hang in there. He's going to bounce back, and Campbell's going to outcoach him. So I'm going Lions.
All right, yeah, we're sweeping the board. Blake Erie bros, we gotta stay with them. This is we gotta do it. Jets at Dolphins. I have never had so much fun watching a Monday night football game than I did the other night. I did not think we'd be talking about this. I did not think we'd be here, but this is, I don't know what this Dolphins team is going to look like this week. I really don't. What do you think, Mike?
I think the Jets defense, and if what's the Jets quarterback name this week as it is? Zach Wilson. Okay, he's back, right? And he was actually feeling himself so much that they actually named him AFC Offensive Player of the Week. I
was like, what?
Him and Tommy Cutlets, the AFC and NFC Offensive Players of the Week. What multiverse did we fall into? Okay,
it's crazy, bro.
But if he's feeling himself and the Jets defense is still as stout as it ever was, and if Tyreek Hill's literally losing a step, or God forbid he doesn't even play in this game, I actually take the Jets.
Ooh, I can see guys.
So if you look at the injury report for this game, it's like everyone's dropping like flies. I think you got Austin Jackson, Andrew Van Ginkel, like everybody's all over the place. But the one quote that stands out to me and that I loved, and I shouldn't say this because I shouldn't say I even love what Zach Wilson says. He says, "What's the worst they're going to do? Bench me?" And when someone has nothing to lose, watch
big
out,
replacements
baby.
Energy there.
Give me Zach Wilson and the goddamn Jets.
That's a great quote. Oh my God. Self-aware Zach Wilson. Who would have thought we'd get there? Whew. That's amazing. What do you got, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm picking all these teams because I want the Bills to go to the playoffs. Last week, obviously, I turned off the game versus the Titans. I missed that comeback at the end right after. I'm like, dude, like, how full of themselves are the Dolphins doing all these celebrations and stuff? Like, you're playing the Titans. Give them a break. Like, who cares? And then for them to come back and get bit by it, on top of all the injuries they have, Tyreek Hill getting married and doing like promotions and got stuff going on the side and stuff. I think they just hit such a high that they're due for the low. And I think the low is going to hit really hard. And they said a lot about it, like McDaniel's just out there telling them just have fun and do all this stuff. But this is a time where like coaching and playing hard throughout the whole year and being focused comes to matter. And like between that and the injuries, I just think they've had their fun. And like some people are predicting, like they might lose a few of the next games and, lose out, and the Bills might swap spots. So I'm going Jets. And yeah, Zach Wilson, obviously, Aaron Rodgers, maybe he's going to come back and stuff. The Jets defense, Zach Wilson actually played a really good game. I don't know. Definitely Jets all day.
Aaron Rodgers, I swear to God, if Aaron Rodgers comes back next week, I can't even.
Yeah,
I don't even know. But the Dolphins, like they've have a lot of injuries. Their center is out for the season now, which from what I understand from my Dolphins Twitter, that people that I follow on there, they says that would be a bigger loss than Tyreek, honestly, with the way he's kind of affected that offensive line. And getting that interior pressure into Tua is so important. So who knows? Maybe this is like you're saying, maybe this is just a reeling Dolphins team, and if they slip up here, it's hosting the Cowboys, at the Ravens, hosting the Bills. We obviously know that. Like if the Cowboys are as good as we gave the Cowboys so much respect and talked about all the problems they're going to present for the Bills, they're doing that same damn thing for the Dolphins, even if it's outdoors in Miami next week. And that Ravens team, I think, is the best. It's been either the best or the second best team in the league all year long. I've got tweets saying that the Ravens are the best team in the NFL. Like, I'm so high on this Ravens team. The defense is stout and Lamar is one of one. And I think that I give them a lot better chance against the Cowboys personally than I do against the Ravens. But that loss against the Titans just opened the door so much. And now they think they've kind of, like you said, feel that pressure a little bit. I'm definitely taking the Jets to cover. I think this is a battle for the Dolphins, but I think the Dolphins kind of sneak it away. All right, let's give our Bills Cowboys predictions. We talked enough about this game. I want to hear where you guys are at. Put your money where your mouth is. Thursday night, 7:56 Eastern, 6:56 Central. What you got, Mike?
The Cowboys have been pretty stout defensively. 3 of the last 4 games. They gave up like 35 points to the Seahawks, but otherwise have been keeping all the other teams under 17 points. I expect us to score more than that. But unfortunately, I can't pick with my heart. I got to go with the Cowboys.
No, Mike.
It's not like I'm manifesting anything. I don't have that kind of power.
No, I know. It just, no, you got it.
I mean, unless the refs want to come to our rescue and put Josh Allen in the playoffs, save us, NFL refs.
Hey, they did us a solid last week. That's for sure.
True.
Both with the Tony play and also with Latavius Murray catching that pop pass from Josh Allen. But what do you think, Hans?
Listen, the fact that Josh Allen isn't even being mentioned in the same sentence as MVP right now should piss Bills fans off and this team wholeheartedly. And I know every time everyone always says 2 quarterbacks will square off against each other. They're not actually playing each other, but this is a statement game for Josh Allen. And if we go back to the Eagles game, he accounted for 99.9% of the Bills offense. If this is a game where he's going to completely take over and generate this offense the way he knows how, this is the game to do it. Now, a lot of people say, would you sacrifice a playoff appearance for Josh to win the MVP? Well, let's face it. If the Bills don't make the playoffs, Josh isn't winning the MVP. So let's not even talk about that right now. What we're talking about is if there's one game on this schedule where Josh Allen has to play the best football of his career, it's this weekend, and I'm taking the Bills because Josh Allen is going to once and for all prove to the naysayers that he's that dude. And sorry, Stephon Diggs, but Josh Allen is actually him. He's him. Bills, baby.
I love it. What you got, Kyle?
Yeah, I'm going Bills as well. I think both teams are going to score 2 to 3 touchdowns each. But I think a lot of field goals are going to be kicked too. I think there's going to be a lot of red zone appearances. And I think not only has Josh Allen proven himself like he does week after week, but I think it's time for Tyler Bass to reprove himself before the playoffs and show that he's our guy forever. And I think that Bass is probably going to kick 3 field goals and Dallas is only going to have like 2 field goals. So I think we're going to win by like 3 points, but I think it's going to be a red zone matchup and we're just going to kick more field goals to win the game.
I do think the football gods were definitely on the Bills side last week with the calls, with the blowing of the winds, anything, whatever you want to say. Like the Bills catching breaks after a season of getting no breaks is not something that's lost on me. And you create your own luck to a certain point, Cons. Like you said, Josh Allen knows this does feel like a Josh Allen like legacy statement moment. He really doesn't shy away from these. And he usually comes out, if not on top, playing some of the best football of his life in these games. And this is a Cowboys team who a couple weeks ago, even at home, what was it? They let up 35 points to the Seattle Seahawks. So I feel like the Bills offense can move up and down the field. Truthfully, I think this is going to be one of the most heart-wrenching Bills games. Not in a bad, maybe in a bad way, maybe not, but I think it's going to be high-powered, back and forth, stressful, tense the whole time. I have the Bills catching another break from the football gods with a 34-31 win, a Tyler Bass field goal with under 2 minutes, and Brandon Aubrey coming down to tie the game, who is 30 for 30 on the year, missing his first field goal in Western New York of the season, and that's how the Bills walk out.
He's going to pull Gary Anderson?
He's pulling Gary Anderson. He's going to miss it. First one of the year, and that's how the Bills will escape.
I mean, the football gods still owe us. You know, they gave us one. They still owe us a couple more.
This is it. And then you got Easton Stick and Bailey Zappi. Like, that's all we need to think about, man. You win this Cowboys game, and you're Easton Stick and Bailey Zappi away from a potentially division championship game in Week 18. Like, that's where we really could be at. And I don't want to look ahead too much, but I feel very strongly that if the Bills get by this game and the way the schedules work out, that we're going to be Week 18 in Miami.
Yep.
Probably Sunday night. Or they can also, guys, just fair warning, they can flex a game to Monday night as well. It could be Monday night, week 18.
Well, good, because then
not Monday night, week 18. There's no Monday nights.
I thought it was
the
they
last
can.
week.
Is it only week 17?
They can flex the Sunday night.
Oh,
well,
18.
Either 17 or 18, they can flex one to Monday night. They were just saying it, so I was worried that it would be 18, but maybe you're on.
Every weekend's a flex for the boy Josh Allen. Every weekend's a flex. I'm talking about.
I'm too big.
I'm too big.
Yeah, that was
too big.
That's a man who's feeling himself. That is for sure. What a dog. I can't wait to see this game Sunday.
Runs. Will Levis, get out of here. Josh Allen pushed 14 guys 7 yards. Come on, give him the scepter, bro.
All right, guys. We paid the bills. See you Sunday.
Gotta.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.